and welcome to Reality TV Cringe. I am one of your hosts, Delia, here with my real tight homegirl and my daughter-in-law, the fabulous, the resplendent Beatrice.
AKA Razorblade.
And the Green Goddess.
The Green Goddess.
Yes. We are here to, it seems like, wrap up season 19 of Sister Wives.
I kind of hope so.
I think so. I think we're going right into the tell-alls. I think there's supposed to be 4 tell-alls, and then it's a wrap.
It seems like it.
I hope so.
I heard rumors that there was going to be 26 episodes, so...
I don't believe it.
I don't know, man.
I don't believe it. I think this is the last one.
Please.
Thank God.
Please.
And I do want to predict that this will also be a shorter type of recap.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot that happened in this episode.
But we might have an after show,
We
right?
might have an after show because there are some thoughts that we probably want to reserve for just the patrons because we want to keep it cute because we are discussing a very important subject matter, which is the passing of Garrison Brown.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into the recap, we do have to remind you to please hide your wife and hide your kids. This is a politically incorrect podcast. We say a lot of stupid things. We're not always appropriate, and sometimes we say bad words.
Yeah.
So if you're so
go away.
You might want to find yourself another dumpster.
Smell you later.
But if you're ready to celebrate the final episode, hopefully, of Sister Wives Season 19, welcome to this dumpster.
And if you like what we do over here, please be sure to follow us on Instagram at Reality TV Cringe and join us on Patreon. Patreon.com/Reality TV Cringe. The VIP dumpster is where it's at. There's so much bonus content up on there, uncensored stuff, access to the after shows. It's lit, okay?
Now, if you are watching on YouTube, please don't forget to like and comment and share and subscribe because verily we say unto you, every single thing you do helps us to climb the subscriber mountain. We are trying to get to 6,000 subscribers. What's wrong with us? Something must be wrong with us.
It's because we're so hot.
Because there are a lot of reactors out there. We are hot.
I know.
There's a lot of reactors out there.
I know.
And I think we're better than all of them.
I agree. Well, we are finally at 5.2.
Oh, great. Okay, great. We need to get to 6.
I know.
And so anything you do helps us in the algorithm. And so thank you in advance.
Thank you.
Is there anything we need to talk about ahead of time? How about takeaways? Let me ask you, did you have a takeaway after watching this episode?
I was just really sad, honestly. Like, I cried again. I'm kind of tired of crying the last couple episodes. I mean, obviously, there's a reason for it because Garrison's death is really sad. And I'm tired of Cody. And I'll just leave it at that until we get to the after show.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
My takeaway was it was really great to see Leon.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I loved seeing just all of the kids together, supporting one another and also supporting the OG moms.
Yeah.
That gave me a nice little vibration in my heart ball.
Yeah, that was really sweet.
It was nice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, without further ado, let's get into the recap. This is season 19, episode 25, entitled
He Heals the Brokenhearted.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sad. We have the family gathering in Wyoming. It looks like at some kind of like Airbnb or something, like they rented a big old farmhouse. Everybody's gathered for Garrison's burial. We have a fishing trip that they're going to go to as a family in some town. I didn't catch where it was
like
at.
the Bighorn Mountains or something.
Yeah.
I wanted to Zillow it because it looked really beautiful.
Yeah, it looked really
wondering
nice.
if there's any property that's available for a couple of raccoons.
I told you, Wyoming's kind of nice.
It is nice.
But they go fishing kind of as like a, I don't know, memorial for Garrison because he liked fishing and he liked being out in Wyoming. Wyoming is the family's closest point to roots for them. They spent a lot of time out there. We again hear more about the stories of the kids going to the ranch, not Dr. Phil's the ranch, but Wynn Brown's ranch where they went to work. And that was really sweet. We see some flashbacks and stuff like that. And while they're fishing, we have like a lot of family photos being taken because we have like a lot of the kids there, like Leon and their partner is there. Gwendolyn and her wife Bea are there. And that's really cool. And Christine's taking lots of photos because when Garrison was alive, she didn't take enough photos. And he also didn't like his photo being taken. So Now Christine is definitely the mom that's like, I'm taking a photo every 5 seconds.
Right.
But I thought that was sweet.
Did we see Tony and McKelty there? Or their kids? I mean, I was kind of looking because typically if they're there, they're front and center, but
Yeah.
I didn't really see them.
I didn't see them either, but I can't imagine they didn't come.
I don't know. There was some sort of a tall, lanky kid, a boy that was there, and he looked like he might have been a relative, but I did not know who that was.
I don't know. I was wondering if that was Savannah's boyfriend because he was kind of hanging around Savannah a
Does
bit.
Savannah have a boyfriend?
I was wondering.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah, because he was kind of hanging around Savannah, but I don't know. That's just my dumb raccoon observation, so don't come for me if I'm wrong.
Well, I thought that this scene was nice.
Yeah.
They're teaching the littles how to fish. You see the older generation of kids, some of whom want to be on camera. You see them just getting along with one another. And apparently some of those sibling beefs that had been going on, like Gwendolyn and Peyton, and just among some of the other kids, like that stuff is starting to heal.
Which is awesome.
Which is great. And I'm sure Garrison would have loved that.
Yeah.
And it's nice as a viewer to see some of that also.
Yeah, and I liked that you could see that the kids could squash their beef, but like with Cody and Robin, it's a little bit different. Like they're still very separated from the rest of the family, which I'm just like, okay, speaks to your immaturity a little bit. Like if the younger generations can let that shit go, why can't the adults?
Right, but do we think that Cody and Robin and their children were actually invited to the Airbnb?
Probably not.
I don't think so. I think a lot of those older kids don't want to be around Cody and especially Robin. And I also don't think Robin would be comfortable at all sharing like any extra time with the rest of the family if she didn't have to. So she's probably completely on board to stay at a hotel and not spend any time with them, which honestly is really sad.
Yeah, very sad.
Like you should be able to get over any of these issues and maybe even use this time to try to make amends or do whatever you need to do. But like Robin's not capable of that. And Cody is so wrapped up in his own process, his grief process, mourning process, honoring Garrison, like all of these things he feels he needs to do as like a ceremony and an ode to his son. Like he's so wrapped up in that he's not actually thinking, and I'm going to ride the lightning here and we'll save this for the after show, but he's not like really thinking about the kids that are still there right now who really need his love.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm like, if Cody could like actually bridge the gap with a lot of the older kids, I feel like a lot of them would be open for that. I mean, I can't really speak for all of their relationships, so I'm not going to like make any, I don't know, statements about it. But like, I feel like if Cody could change his tune and maybe bridge that with the kids and maybe say sorry for some of the things, I feel like some of them would be more open to that. Maybe
I definitely think so.
There's
I mean,
a possibility at least.
With Cody and Robin sitting down for dinner like a few episodes ago and talking about Aspen coming to Cody to try and talk about their relationship, that means she's still open to hearing what his feedback is and hopefully having some kind of a connection. So I would imagine some of the other kids feel the same way, but I do think a couple of the oldest kids, Maddie being one of them, are just not into it.
Yeah.
They have too much of a problem with Cody and Robin. It would be interesting to see what would happen, but it's not going to happen.
No, never. Yeah. Never.
I don't know if never, but certainly not now.
I feel like never. And then we have Cody and his family going to the ranch and talking about stories about Cody and his life.
Well, it was weird and confusing to me because they're talking about how all of the kids would go up to Wyoming, especially the boys over the summer, to learn like the value of hard work. But it sounded like the whole family had their roots in Wyoming, as you say. But Robin's kids, Aurora and Brianna, like don't seem to know anything about Cody's life, his childhood, his family. Like it doesn't seem like they ever went to Wyoming with the rest of the family. Now, is that because Robin didn't want to go? Is that because there was an issue with that? Maybe Robin didn't want to stay on the ranch. I don't know. But like his kids seem completely disconnected from his history, whereas the rest of the kids are not.
Well, and that's what's super weird because we go into like a segue with Cody like riding a horse like a real cowboy. And Robin's talking about how sexy that is. And
so
how
inappropriate.
Hot that is. And I'm like, that is so
really
stupid.
Inappropriate.
Please stop. But she was saying like something to the effect of, we didn't even really know that this was Cody's life. Like he never acted like a cowboy, never acted like he grew up on a ranch, never acted like a country guy. And so they just really weren't privy to it. So maybe Cody just didn't really talk about his roots. And so that's why they were just kind of disconnected from it. And maybe Robin wasn't like super interested about like going and spending time on a ranch
Right.
and getting dirty and stuff like that. But I don't know. It just seemed really odd. And I just didn't really like this segment. Personally.
Well, what was really odd was when Robin and Cody both got on that horse.
Oh my God.
Who seemed really uncomfortable. And I don't think you should be packing two people onto a horse. It was uncomfortable. I'm not saying it's abusive, but it's just like, what are you doing? This is weird. Is this just a photo op? Are you doing this for the camera? Because it's absolutely inappropriate to do that to the horse. I felt bad for the horse. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Why are we doing this right now? Isn't there a million other things that would pay respect to Garrison that you could be doing outside of having Robin and Cody share this horse and hurt the horse?
I know, and have Robin talk about how sexy it was to
Rawr.
watch Cody ride a horse and wrangle a horse and teach the kids how
Nobody
to ride
cares.
one. I'm like, I literally don't care about your guys' relationship. I'm sorry. Like, I don't, and this isn't really the time for us to see you guys riding a horse off into the sunset and talk about how sexy Cody is. Like, I don't care.
Especially when this relationship was kind of the main issue in the dissolution of this entire family. And we're there for a family moment to lay Garrison to rest. It's not about you, Robin, and who you think is sexy. It's not about you, Cody, peacocking for the camera on a horse or with your kids or talking about signs you sold or anything else. Like, this has nothing to do with why we're here. I was getting really frustrated.
Me
and
too.
I'll stop right there and we can talk about it in the after show, but it's just like
why are we here?
Why?
And really, like, the only thing that came out of this segment was Cody talking about how he was grateful that Janelle allowed him to bring Garrison's ashes up to Wyoming. So I guess we were talking about that last week of like whether or not that was true, because, well, we talked about it in the after show. Go on Patreon if you want to see that discussion. But I guess it was confirmed. Janelle was happy for him to bring Garrison up, and Cody kind of tears up a little bit and says he's grateful because he needed that. And I can understand like the sentiment behind that, maybe deep down in Cody's black heart. But I can see it, but at the same time I'm just like,
Janelle's just a better person than me, because like I would have said
that's
no.
the thing.
And Cody tells the story about a moment in the funeral home with, it sounds like, Janelle's boys, and maybe Peyton was there, and the boys were gathering around making plans. This is what we're going to do. And Cody steps in and says, no, stop it.
I need
this
it.
This is my job. Let me do it. And I was like,
Well, and it's like, he's the parent, right?
Yes.
Like he lost his child, but the brothers also lost a brother. And I'm just like, we don't need to insert that, and you don't need to insert yourself into it and be like, no, I need it.
Right.
It's all about me. I want to bring Garrison.
That's kind of how it felt to me.
It's my pilgrimage.
And I'm wondering if there was like a bit of a problem or an argument or some bad feelings that happened at the funeral home that day, because I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some of those boys are like, Garrison was estranged from you. Like, Garrison really wanted a relationship with you and he wasn't even allowed in your home. And here's where I'm going to stop. I apologize. We'll do it in the after show. But like, it was weird that he kind of threw that out and then didn't talk about that more, almost as if to villainize the boys in that moment, when it sounds like the boys were just trying to do what the boys have learned how to do, which is take up the slack that Cody leaves behind because he doesn't parent. Sorry.
Right.
I'm going to shut up.
Yep.
I'll save it for later. I apologize.
Well, and maybe he did talk about it more, but it was edited out. I don't know. But I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
Why are we even talking about that? It's a private family moment.
I don't know.
Well, he's doing it so that he can shine the light on what he needs in this moment.
Yeah.
I needed to take my son home. I needed to close the circle. I needed to be the one to dig the grave. I.
Well, and that gets us into the next segment of Cody going to the gravesite with his brothers. I think it's his brother Steve, the old one, and his brother-in-law, Tim. And they're going to dig the grave where they're going to put Garrison's ashes in. And Cody talks about how he wants this to be like a garden that's full of life and everything. And he needed to do this because it's really cathartic for him to close the circle, like you said. And he's like, it's really important that my brothers are here because they're here for my emotional support. I'm just like, oh.
Well, and he said a couple of times, I obviously don't need them to dig the grave because I'm big and strong enough to do it.
I'm
but
a cowboy.
It's about who I'm going to watch this sunset with. I mean, just there's some like declarative statements that he was making. I'm like, oh my God, the narcissist cannot help but reveal himself.
Mm-hmm.
I did think, though, that there were moments that were precious. I loved that these two men came and helped, if not just to witness what was going on. And they also loved Garrison and spent some time with Garrison. And I thought that Cody talking about how he needed to actually feel the labor of it, like he needed to do the hard work of digging this grave so he could feel it. Like I thought there was the kernel there that was very interesting.
Yes,
about how to move through grief. And so I want to give Cody that. And I'm
Me
sure
too.
I'm sure he's mourning. I'm sure he's thinking about what he's going through and what has happened. But I just, yeah.
There's like a lot of things that he says that are really hard for me to deal with. But then at the same time, it's like I've been saying the last couple episodes, like he's still a father that lost his kid.
Yes.
In like a really tragic, awful way. And we can make speculations about his lack of relationship with Garrison, and we can make these observations about how he talked about Garrison on TV and stuff. But like he still lost his kid.
Yes.
In a really horrible way. And so I want to believe that deep down Cody is genuinely mourning and like genuinely sad over the death of his child, but he copes so much with his narcissism, and that's what makes it really difficult to like look at his grief and think that it's 100% genuine. But like I liked the labor part where he's talking about that with the grave. Like I thought that was very meaningful, and I think that he genuinely did need to do that, like to just kind of feel the labor of it and like work through the grief like physically.
Mm-hmm.
And like watching the sunset I thought was kind of sweet, but I don't know.
Well, he said it reminds him of the divine.
Yeah.
And it was great that the men sat there with him.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that Cody is grieving.
For sure.
I do not think Robin was. I was taken aback. And keep in mind, I'm constantly taken aback by Robin and her lack of emotion or her emotional intelligence. Like, it doesn't seem to have any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really on display here.
Mm-hmm.
And very cold, stony-faced. Anything related to the funeral, anything related to what had happened was filtered through Cody.
Yes.
Like, Cody is doing this for Garrison. Cody needs this because X. Cody needs this because Y. Like, okay, what about Garrison?
I know.
Like, why aren't we talking more about Garrison and why are we shining so much light on Cody and his inner process? Like, nobody cares.
I know.
Nobody cares.
Like, really? Can we have empathy for like literally anybody else in this situation, or like feel sadness for Garrison's death? Like, it's weird to me how they just don't really express, especially Robin, like doesn't really express her own sadness with.
I don't think she
tragedy.
feels any, and we'll save this for the after show.
We will. Yep. She does say at the end of this segment that this grave digging thing was like a ceremony for Cody, which I thought was like a weird choice of word. I'm like,
a ceremony for Cody.
Yeah, right.
It's a ceremony for Garrison.
Right, not Cody.
We are assembled here today for Garrison, not for you, not for your kids, not for Cody.
Yep. Very weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to the actual cemetery where we have the burial, and this was filmed at a distance per the family's request. And I'm just wondering like why it was even filmed at all, but like whatever, I digress. So we have some people's faces like blurred, so I think some people like didn't want to be on camera at all, so that's why it was, I think, partially filmed at a distance, but we still hear a lot of what is said. I guess, was it, which brother made the urn?
It was Mitch. It was Aspen's husband made the Viking ship urn,
which was really cool, actually.
Really very cool.
Yeah, I really like that because Garrison was really interested in like Norse mythology and Viking mythology, and so he wanted to be cremated, but then also put in a Viking ship, sent off to Valhalla, which was kind of cool. And this was the first time like the family saw it, I think, because Cody brought Garrison up in a different urn. And we had a speech from Tim.
Right, I guess Tim was the minister.
Yeah.
He showed up in Hawaiian shirts and a Hawaiian shirt, Hawaiian shorts. And I thought he was fantastic. I thought everything he said was beautiful.
Yep.
I've been to quite a few funerals and services, and I just thought that it seemed like he was absolutely honoring Garrison while at the same time just speaking to the family
Yes.
about coming back together in Garrison's honor without like calling it out very directly. I just thought he did a fantastic job.
He did, yeah, and he spoke to the mother's anguish and the father's remorse.
Which I thought was very interesting.
Uh-huh.
The mother's anguish and the father's remorse.
Yeah, and I wondered if that was like, I wondered if Cody knew that he was going to say that. Like, I wonder if Cody told him to say that or something.
I doubt he would tell him to
but
say
it's
that.
just interesting that he said that because I'm like, does Cody feel remorse then?
No. I'm sorry. I don't. I'm sure.
No.
He does. I'm sorry. He does feel remorse.
Yeah.
According to Cody, he says he does. And there's so many things like the what ifs, and we've talked about that. But when I say no, I think it's not because Cody told him to say that, or I don't think he ran it by Cody. No, I think he's actually saying all of these things to bring the family back together in his own way. So but I thought that was maybe the most direct thing that he said. That was a somewhat quasi indictment of Cody, because if anybody was going to have remorse there, it was going to be Cody. Robin won't, because she don't have any feelings.
No.
Sorry. So it's not going to be Robin, but I thought he was speaking passively to Cody.
Well, and that was interesting because I'm just like, okay, so the whole family then maybe is aware of like Cody's.
How can they not be?
Right? I mean, I just thought that was really interesting. That
I'm trying to go through the Rolodex in my mind of previous seasons when we've had the family go up to the ranch, and we've met Tim before, because Tim is the one who actually manages and runs the ranch. Like Wynn passed it on to him. And we've met Tim before, and he seemed kind of like very based.
Yeah.
And like not putting up with Cody's crap in the past. And so I think he knows a lot. I think he's got Cody's number, but I also think he's coming from a place of like healthy masculine, trying to guide the family back to a place of peace. I just don't know that Cody is in a place to receive that.
Yeah, or like even acknowledge that that's what he was doing.
Right, if that's what he was doing. That's just what I imagined he was trying to do.
I agree with you.
What do y'all think?
Honestly, yeah, let us know in the comments. But then we have Cody, I think it was like on the couch, like an interstitial talking about the space that will never be filled after a loss, which I thought was interesting and poignant because, Cody up until that point was just talking about himself.
Well, and if I may just elaborate on that, like I've lost a few people, and in particular, like I've lost my mom. I lost her in 2012, and that was such a cutting and gutting loss in my life. And although, 13 years have passed, he's absolutely right. There's just a space that belongs to my mom that lives inside of me.
Yep.
And I can go on and I can have joy and I can have other types of losses and experiences, and life is always going to continue to march on. But like that space I carry inside of me, and I will always carry inside of me, which is another reason that our loved ones really never die, because we carry them with us. And so, what he was trying to say was very meaningful and poignant. It's not like you just get over it. You just don't.
No, you never do. And he does kind of talk about that. Like you do move on, but at the same time, like it's always going to be there. There's always going to be that empty part of you.
I think about her every day, if not multiple times a day.
Of course you do.
But it was just a part of my life that grief is going to always be with you.
Always. Yeah, you just learn how to deal with it and handle it throughout life. And then we also have Cody at the funeral talking about a dream that he had of Garrison telling him to stop listening to sad music.
Yep.
And we'll save that for the after show.
Maybe. I mean, I can see in the setting of a funeral, giving a eulogy or speaking on behalf of the deceased. But this was another sort of declaration about himself.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if it was a bit self-serving, and we can talk about that later. But like when you compare and contrast what he's talking about with that dream with somebody like Peyton or Hunter, I was just like, these things are different.
Yes, I agree. And then we have Cody and Janelle like actively laying Garrison in the ground. And this you could tell was really difficult for Janelle. Like she said, she could feel the weight of the urn, and that was like what really got her. And then I think Logan even tries to like help her out with it because he's right there next to them. And that part really got me. Like, that was where I just all of a sudden started crying like really hard. Just watching that scene was really sad. And Janelle talks about it like, you know, despite her and Cody's like massive differences and their fights and everything, in that moment, she said they were just parents. And I could feel that. I feel like that was genuine. I feel like Janelle, throughout all of this, was like deep in her grief. And I've been seeing a lot of people say like Janelle was giving Cody more than he deserved in these moments. And we can talk about that later. But I think Janelle was really acting through her grief and like just trying to get through it and like wanting to maybe believe that like Cody is just a parent that feels the loss. But
well, if Janelle knows that what her son wanted, you know, maybe more than anything was reconciliation with his father, then it would be the ultimate gesture of love on behalf of Garrison to allow Cody to do what he needs to do in this moment to connect with Garrison in this way. I think she's acting from that place of love and supreme grace, and I just think it's a testament to her character.
Yes.
And I would hope that I would be as good as Janelle in that situation. I just don't know that I would have been. I just don't know that I would have been. And that's on me.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I totally 100% get it. And then we have various siblings giving their own like little mementos and tributes. Dude. And this was so fucking sad.
I cannot.
Like Peyton gave his medals from the army, the military. I don't know, military. He gave his medals, and that got me. And then he like poured a drink for him, and then Hunter gave his hat because I guess Garrison
was his first salute, and that was the hat that Hunter was wearing when he saluted Garrison.
Yeah, and then we have Christine like kneeling down at the grave.
Oh my God, I can't.
And that was so sad, man. That was so Ooh! And then we have Mary in her interstitial breaking down because she was remembering Garrison's smile because that just like lit up a room. And she was really heartbroken. And then Janelle saying that he was finally at rest.
Yep.
And it was really sad.
It was sad, but it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I am really glad that the family was able to come together for Garrison in that moment and in love. It was beautiful.
Me too. Because that's what you should do in a situation like this. And then after the burial, then everybody kind of gathers without Cody. The rest of the family gathers at their like Airbnb or whatever. And you have a little scene with Gabe hugging on Janelle, which is really sweet. And she talks about how her sons always take care of their mama, which is really, really great.
I
love that a lot.
I hope you have sons. I
know,
hope you have daughters, of course. But like, I hope you have some sons to take care of you.
I was like, dang, I really want a son.
Yeah.
And then we have Maddie talking with Leon a little bit about how she's still mad at Cody.
Called him Cody.
Yeah, she called him Cody.
Didn't call him Dad.
Not Dad. Yep.
Calls him Cody.
She was talking about how she can control how she reacts, though, in these kinds of situations. Like, obviously, we didn't see her fighting Cody at the funeral, but I thought it was interesting that production even kept that little, like, scene in. And then we have Leon saying that they would love to have a conversation with Cody. But I don't know if we're ever going to get that.
Well, I think that this is the way that they felt like maybe they could get a message to Robin's kids, specifically the older three.
Yeah.
Aurora, Brianna, and Dayton. Dayton, by the way, I did not see there either.
Yeah.
I didn't see him at the military memorial. I didn't see him in the...
I wonder if he's no contact with Robin and Cody.
I wonder if he just dipped from the entire family.
Yeah.
I really wonder what's going on with Dayton.
Yeah.
But... this is the way I think that Leon and Maddie were able to get a message to the children saying, hey, like if there's a way to build a bridge so that we can come together, we would love to have a relationship with you in the future. And hopefully it is received. I don't know if it's going to be. I just don't know if it's going to be. If anybody would, I think it would be Dayton. I think Dayton would be receptive to that.
Yeah.
But I just don't know where he's at right now.
Don't know either. And then we have Maddie also saying that if it was her in this situation, because she is a mom, she's got kids of her own, she would be the one to apologize to those kids, knowing that she was wrong. And so she's saying that to Cody, like, dude, you're in the wrong. Like, you should be the one to
Mhm.
make the first move. And this is what we've been saying
Of course.
this whole entire time on the podcast.
It's what a parent
like,
does.
It's what you do. Sometimes you gotta own up to your shit. But it's Cody Brown that we're talking about. And then after that, everybody lights sparklers and is like trying their best to, you know, not really like have fun, but like just, you know, be together as a family.
And enjoy each other's company and have that moment together.
Yeah, because Garrison would have wanted that.
Yes.
And then we have the preview. And I was texting you thinking like, you know, maybe we had one more episode after this. But then I'm like looking at the preview again. I'm like, okay, I guess we're going into the tell-alls.
It looks like that.
Which I kind of hope so. Like, I don't
Me
really
too.
want to have another episode after this of just like talking about Coyote Pass.
Right. I mean,
Like-
I'd like to resolve Coyote Pass. I think
Sure,
we
but-
could have gone deeper into Coyote Pass and a lot
Yeah.
of these other issues in this never-ending season, but I guess we'll reserve that for season 20
I
or
know.
maybe the conversations we're going to have with Sukiana. But like just seeing some of that preview coming from the celebration of life of Garrison and then
Yeah.
just seeing Robin with her face talking about keep your name out of my mouth and seeing Cody right back into the same angry place talking about, you know, feeling guilted forever because he loves Robin. I'm just like, are we really going to go backwards
I know.
after we've suffered this huge loss and like we have all had a reality check, or we should have, like, we're really going to go right back into it and talk about Janelle being asexual
I
and Mary
know.
wanting to date. Like, I don't care.
I know. I don't care about
Talk
any of
about the
this.
important issues.
I know.
Wild.
But we're going to have 4 of these probably.
I don't know why Suki keeps coming back. Maybe we shouldn't talk. We can talk about it next week when we get to it. But like, I just don't know why she keeps putting herself in this situation because the audience tears her down.
She must have like a contract or something with the Browns or TLC or something because I'm like, why do you keep coming back?
Well, we know that Cody likes a certain sort of interviewer because we know, according to Mary, that it was
Yeah.
Cody that was behind Tamron Hall being fired because Tamron was too direct with Cody and he didn't like that. So we need somebody like Suki, I guess, but the audience doesn't need it at all.
No. And I don't need these one-on-ones either.
No, I don't either.
It would be great if you guys could all just be mature adults.
Like
and,
get in
be
the same room and let's just do it. Let's just do a one-off.
No, but we
Shoot.
can't.
Couple hours special with y'all in the same room, live.
Yep.
I would love that.
Oh my God, that would be so amazing.
But we'd never get that.
But Cody and Robin can't do that.
No.
'Cause they can't be called out on live TV. It would ruin their facade that they have so carefully orchestrated.
They
for
literally
us.
could not deal with it.
I
If
know,
they
they
had
really
to
couldn't.
hear criticism in real time
kidding?
from the other people or from like viewers' comments and questions, they
No.
would not be able to do it. We know what they did last year with the look backs and talk backs, and like they were annoyed,
Yep.
irritated, and angry
Yep.
that they had to answer to the audience. Get them off of my television.
For real.
We do not need
Fire
them,
'em.
but I will leave my commentary right there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, is there anything else that we need to say to these beautiful raccoons before we get up on out of here and get into this after show, Beatrice?
Well, if you love our podcast, please be sure to go to your favorite podcast platform and leave us a glowing 5-star review. 5 really helps us grow the pod so more people can join us in the dumpster. And if you want to see the after show, join us on Patreon.
We will be back later this week to continue our recap of Poly Family. And of course, we'll be back next week to continue with the talkbacks or the tell-alls, the tell-nothings with Sister Wives. And until then, please do not forget that we have nothing but love for you and peace out.
Bye.